Yeah.
It's just different.
This is Luke 18. This is Luke 18. Yeah. Need you to save me. Yeah.
Hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Dr. Shirley Ferguson. Please subscribe and also always turn on your notification bell so that way you'll know that I am on YouTube. Today we will be discussing communication and the importance of communicating and having a healthy communication with either your spouse or your family or your friends, and knowing the difference between communicating and arguing. So why do we think healthy communication is important? It is. Having a healthy communication is very important because a lot of times when we are talking to people or we get in a heated discussion, we don't realize that we turn communication into an argument when we really don't have to. Healthy communication is when two people are speaking and talking to one another, and each person is actually listening, not just hearing, but listening. You know, we hear, but are we listening? I've talked to several people and counseled several couples about this very thing about communicating. And when we both sit down and have a discussion and we communicate, each person is taking the time and giving the respect to the person that's speaking, the things that they're saying to us, that we're actually listening and not just hearing. When I say listening, that's you're paying attention, you're understanding where they're coming from and not cutting people off. I've been in places where someone is communicating with someone and the other person just shuts them down and start trying to give their point. Well, we have to each have an opportunity to speak what's on our heart and in our mind, because if we don't do that, then the other person will never know what the other person is actually feeling or wanting to convey. Giving each other time to speak is very healthy because it gives that person an opportunity to speak from their heart. And then it gives the person that's listening an opportunity to hear what the person is actually saying to them. We know sometimes when we get in arguments and it's real heated, we don't want to hear nothing nobody else is saying because we want to be heard, right? We want to get our point across and we want you to hear what we're saying. But actually, no one is hearing anything but a whole bunch of noise. Everybody is just yelling and nobody is really listening to what the other person is saying. I found in several meetings that I've had with couples that have children is that the couples are talking and then next thing you know they're yelling, and then next thing you know your kids are screaming and yelling, and you wonder why the kids are having problems at school or they're acting out. And most of the time, you know, we know kids are going to be kids, but a lot of times that the kids, when they're acting out, they don't know how to verbalize how they're feeling. And I always tell couples or spouses that when it's time to have a discussion with your spouse and it may turn into an argument, you don't need to argue in front of your children, because the children don't deserve to hear their parents arguing and yelling at each other, because they don't know the difference of a healthy communication or just communicating. And you might not even be at an angry place in your life, but the kids will take it as mommy don't like daddy or daddy don't like mommy. And then, you know, when you get in an argument, you start saying stuff that you don't really mean. And then the kids get affected by it. I was speaking to a lady, and that same thing happened to them. The wife and the husband were arguing, and the kids started screaming. And next thing you know, in about a week or two, the kids are acting out in school. And what that comes from is because they are actually saddened and they get a little scared when the parents are arguing, because they don't know what's going on, because they're expecting the parents to get along, right? So we want to make sure that we, as grown-ups and we have children, that we communicate on a level to where each person is listening to each other, so we can actually understand where that person is coming from. If you don't give a person an opportunity to express or explain because we think we already know. You have to give them an opportunity, because some people are not really good at expressing or verbalizing what they really feel. I'm learning that a lot of people come from different types of backgrounds where maybe their family never discussed or had good communication, and they just did and went off the way that they are used to. And a lot of things that we do now in our lives is learn from maybe the families that we were around or in. And so my thing is having a good communication. You have to both have an opportunity to express how you feel without yelling and cussing each other out, right? So we want to give each person an opportunity to do that. I know with myself, me and my husband in the earlier ages, of course, we were young and you did the same thing. I was a person, you're not telling me what to do. I'm grown. You're not my daddy and all that kind of stuff, which, when you're young, you think that way. But as you grow older, you begin to realize that, well, there are two people that are coming together. And I'm talking about like a marriage. They're coming together. So you have two separate individuals coming from two separate families coming together as one. So you already know right there is going to be some type of friction, because the way that I was raised and the way that he was raised was totally different. Not saying that either or was bad, but we both were raised different. So the way that I might sweep is not the way that he sweep, or the way that I cook is not the way that he cooks. And it's okay, because why? Because we come from two different families. We have to learn how to compromise. We have to learn how to get along and accept the person the way that they sweep. That's just the way they sweep. And even if you have a way to sweep, let that person sweep the way that they want to sweep, right? And I find, arguments always come most of the time, not all the time. Most of the time, arguments come from stupid stuff that don't mean anything. If I sweep this way, that's the way I sweep. I had a thing that me and my husband, when we first got married, and I tell this a lot at the church, but he would put the toilet paper on the roll where the toilet paper comes over. And me, I was used to the toilet paper coming from underneath. So he would put the toilet roll on the roll, right? And I would come to the bathroom, and here's the paper hanging this way. And I'm thinking, why does he got this paper hanging? It's supposed to go, and I'm flipping it every time I go to the bathroom. Then when he came to the bathroom, he flipped it. And it was my turn, I flipped it. And I would get angry behind toilet tissue, right? And the whole point of the toilet tissue is to do one thing, right? So what difference does it make if it hangs this way or it goes under this way? But the thing of it is that I would get angry and mad because of the toilet paper, the way that it was looking. That was stupid. That was in the beginning when we were first got married. And it's like, why did I get upset? Because he didn't put the toilet roll the way that I was used to it. So stuff like that would cause arguments. And I was flipping the toilet paper like he was in there like hard. And it's just a roll of toilet paper. The toilet paper was probably tripping like, why are you mad at me? Right? So what we have to do is, some things are worth ignoring. It's not a big deal. The toilet paper is going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's over the top or underneath. So, of course, now, which is years later, I don't really care how the toilet paper, as long as the toilet paper is there. And so we have to get past all the little stuff that, gets on our nerves and stuff, because a lot of that stuff, it's nothing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. And I'm realizing when you get older, time is really short. Even though, my dad, he's 96. And so by him being 96, it seems like a long time, but really it's a short time. And so I'm realizing that life is so short that arguments don't even mean anything, because you already know once you argue, okay, it's over and done with, now what? So we have to realize that when we're communicating with our spouse or our family or whoever it is, let's take time to listen. Let's take time for people to express how they feel and not catch an attitude and not get mad and not get angry, because a lot of things that come our way really is minute. It doesn't mean anything at all. But for the children, I just feel that with your children, that we want to be better parents. I know I do. Even a grandparent, I want to be a better grandparent to where my children and my grandchildren are safe. Of course, mine are grown now, but I'm just speaking to to people who have children. You want your children to feel protected. So if they're in your home and they hear a lot of arguing, fussing, and fighting, and mama is, getting beat up by daddy, or daddy is doing this, well, what happens is the kid gets scared, and you don't want that to happen to your kids. You want them to feel safe in the house. And if they're safe in the house, then they feel more secure. But if we causing friction for no reason, or we feel insecure, and that, a lot of stuff does come from being immature and insecure. When you're not secure with yourself and who you are, well, a lot of things will bother us. And a lot of things will take us to the left when it shouldn't even take us to the left, right? I know one time I was talking to a young lady, and they were saying about how some girl had, she called out my name. She called out my name, which means that I guess the girl called her a curse word or whatever. And I'm saying, well, why are you tripping off of her so-called calling out your name? If that's not your name, why are you worried about it? And the lady says, you know what? That's right. And I'm saying, if somebody call you a name, if you answer to that, that might be your name. So you don't want to answer if it's not your name. Bypass it. It doesn't matter. What is you calling me out my name what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. So we have to get past all these little stupid little humps in our lives to have a better life, a happier life, have peace in our life. The world already brings enough chaos. So if the world is already bringing all this chaos, why am I going to bring more chaos into my home and to my children that I say I love? Yeah, we all have disagreements. Yeah, we all may have a little argument, but we don't want to take it to the place where it causes our children to be afraid, or even to cause, I'll say this, our spouse could have a bad day, and they're already dealing with stuff, and they, as a man, they don't really say too much, but they're carrying a load. They're a man, they're the head of the house, they have a lot more stuff to carry. Yeah, we women, we have a lot of stuff too, but as a man, they have a lot more to carry, and sometimes they don't express anything. So us as women, we have to be more attentive to understand that they are carrying a load, and it's not always about us. We already know that we love them, they love us, because we wouldn't be together, right? Unless, some crazy stuff. But we want to be in a place where we understand that they have things that are going on, and we don't want to cause more on them by having an attitude, because a lot of ladies, I'm not talking about you, but a lot of ladies have a lot of problems with themselves, and they're insecure. And so whenever, a phone rings, you tripping. Who is that? Why you come in? Instead of letting the phone ring, trust me, when I tell you that the truth will come out, there's no need for you to be stressing. There's no need for you to be having attitude. Baby, let me tell you, the Bible is right. Everything that's done in the dark, it's going to come to the light. But you might want it to come to the light like right now. Maybe it doesn't need to come out right now. But eventually it's going to come to the light. So don't stress off of things that you can't change because you're not God. You have to learn how to roll with it, right? And I'm not saying if anybody is, disrespecting you or anything like that. So, I'm just saying that don't cause things to happen in your head that's not really happening in real life. You start assuming and blaming before you even know what the real deal is. And it's not funny, but it is, because I deal with a lot of couples, and the stuff that they be bringing up is like, what is that for? Why you? Well, they did this. What the? You thought you heard that. You thought, but you're thinking it is not the real deal, right? So it doesn't. You're causing more headache on yourself because you're stressed out that he's gonna fool around. You're stressed out because, well, if you feel like he's doing that, you wait for it to present itself, or you get out of the relationship. Now, I'm not talking about marriage, unless marriage. Yeah, you can get divorced and all that, but why get married if you want to be divorced, right? So you have to know the whole situation. I can't tell you your situation because I don't know it, but you really have to examine the whole situation. And then even you have to look at yourself. Am I the cause? Am I doing anything? Because a lot of times y'all know we don't never want to say it's us. Woo, it's you. It's you. No, you did that. But if you notice when you're pointing, how many more fingers are coming back at you? There's only one going toward the person, and like all of these are going toward us. So we want to make sure we check ourselves and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to, and be the best you that you can be. Have great communication. Have a healthy communication. Talk to the person out of respect, out of love. Don't always argue and fight. I'm at a place in my life, I don't want to hear nothing. No argument. Look, if that's what you feel, hey man, knock yourself out. If that's what, hey man, I'm good. Because I don't want to overstress myself over stuff that's not even happening. Like, I hurt your feelings, I apologize, but I don't apologize. Because sometimes we need to hear it. I had to hear it for myself. I'm not perfect. I don't have all my, I'm not all of that, because I'm not God. I'm a human being like everybody else. I make mistakes too. And hey, if I made a mistake and somebody bring it to my attention, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, or I didn't do it. But when we try to blame everybody else, I know somebody, let me tell you this little story. Somebody's son, I won't mention who it is, but somebody's son was going through school, and it was always the teacher. The teacher this, the teacher, it's the teachers, it's the teachers. Go to the next grade, it's the teachers, it's the teachers. And I'm going, telling them, don't worry about it. Just and they know it's the teacher, it's the teacher. And 50 years later, it's always somebody else. So you have to check that and notice that it might just be you. Always examine yourself before you start pointing the finger. Have great communication. And know that if you have great communication, your life will be so much better. And with that being said, always remember, getting free from people is the key to your full potential. I'll catch you on my next video. See you next time.